Welcome and thank you for joining us today. My name is Laura Redmond. I am a cloud accounting advocate and I have an accounting firm that uses only QBO and a lot of the apps in the ecosystem. I am a member of the Intuit Trainer Writer Network, so I do a lot of training on QuickBooks Online, including co-authoring the QuickBooks Online Advanced Certification. And I'm also the co-creator of Aero Workflow app, and that's what we're going to talk about today. I have a lot of experience working with my firm using cloud-based solutions, and with that comes the necessity of having to manage multiple staff, working on multiple clients, performing multiple services, right? So let's talk about that today, and in particular, we're going to focus on ways that you can empower your staff. We're looking at cloud-based software, right? Many of you are familiar with the term SaaS, software as a service. For example, QuickBooks Online, Aero is also a cloud-based app. This allows you to have flexible work arrangements and a distributed workforce, right? Because your staff can log on and work whenever it is that they're available and from wherever they are. Aero gives staff the resources they need to operate effectively and therefore to improve your firm's profitability. Aero also has a built-in timer function that gives you the KPIs you need for your firm, tracking the time that your staff are working so that maybe perhaps you pay them hourly, or maybe you want to watch the KPIs for your accounting firm to see how long does it take me to perform this service for different clients. Whether you're billing them hourly or not, you still want to know how to schedule them, right? Aero also eliminates the need to hover over your staff to make sure the work is done. So come on, admit it. Many of us on this webinar today are control freaks, right? We're in the accounting profession, which attracts our type. 2 of the top 10 characteristics, they say, of a horrible boss are the inability to give up control and that need to micromanage. So Aero lets you back off, yet still maintain control. So we'll spend this webinar looking at the work menu. I'm going to jump now to Aero and show that to you all. Okay, so here we are in Aero. We're going to spend today's webinar focusing on this menu. This is the work menu, and this is where your staff will come to perform the work assigned to them or some of the things that may be related to that work that's assigned to them. And by them, I mean your staff person or whoever it is logged in. Right now, I'm logged in as Robert. So for today's demonstration, we're going to put ourselves in the shoes of Robert, who works for an accounting firm. I want to step back for a second and review what is an Aero and what does that mean to me? An Aero, as we use it in Aero Workflow app, is an activity that tracks time associated to the work that you're doing and provides resources to complete the work. You want your staff to complete the work properly. You want it to be done consistently. You want it to be done efficiently. So Aero is all about giving your staff those resources to do that. And it doesn't necessarily only have to have meaning for your staff. It also is very meaningful if you're, say, the partner or owner of the firm. I know for myself, I can set up these lengthy steps on how to perform work. And if I don't do it very frequently, I really need that step-by-step checklist to get it done the next time, or I may accidentally forget one of the steps, right? So from the perspective of an accounting firm, the firm provides lots of services to lots of clients, right? These services are made up of lots and lots of tasks and various, so sometimes these services are performed entirely by one staff person, and other times the services are performed by multiple staff in the accounting firm. Take AP, for example. You likely have different staff performing different roles. You may have an AP clerk who enters the bills. You may have a controller, a different person in your firm who's the check signer and pays the bills, or uses an app like bill.com to go on and pay the bills. You don't want to give people all access to everything because that's not a very good internal control, right? You may even have a third person, if you're using an app like bill.com, that is the GL clerk or someone who is responsible for syncing the data to QuickBooks. And then sometimes an accounting firm has services that are performed the same for all clients, but there may be particular steps that differ from one client to the other. It might be one person even in your firm, but they have to remember that when they perform it for one of your clients, it's this way, and for another client, it's another way. So like, for example, payroll. You might have one client that has primarily hourly staff, and your staff person, when they do their payroll, has to remember to go get their hours approved by the manager and look at the holiday schedule. And then you might have another client that your staff person does payroll for, and that business may primarily have salaried staff, and you might have some slightly different steps to do there. And then, of course, you have to do all the regular tasks for both of those clients, like prepare the paycheck and remit the payroll taxes and file the payroll forms. So you don't want to forget any of these steps. And sometimes they differ. Sometimes they're split between different staff at your firm. So the picture I'm painting here is that all of the steps that make up a task and all of the tasks that make up a service that you offer, multiplied by all of the clients that you service, this could be a recipe for chaos if we don't keep it all organized. So from the perspective of a staff person of the firm, that's what we're talking about today, empowering the staff. They want to know, what do I work on today? And what do I work on first? What's the top priority? And do I have all the information I need to get the work done efficiently and effectively? So here we are, we're starting here. We're going to go through this work menu here, but I'm going to start first on the My Arrows. And you can do that by navigating to the work menu and down to My Arrows. This is the main screen where you go to perform your work. There are a bunch of other cool screens that we will explore on different webinars inside of Aero to manage and set up work. But this is where everybody would go to perform their work. And just to give you a little tip, if you navigate somewhere else, I'm just going to jump anywhere else. You don't have to remember where I went. I just want to give a little tip. You can always click this arrow logo in the top left to take you right back to your My Arrows list. So here we are on the My Arrows list, and this is the list of work that has been assigned for you, the person logged in, to do today. And this provides a structure for you. It allows your firm to systemize the client accounting services so that everybody who's logged in has their list of work that they need to complete that day. So you see your list and you pick, let's pick the one with the highest priority status. This one's been elevated. When you click the icon here, this is how we accept the arrow, and we're going to go in and work on this arrow. And I want to just point out really quickly here that you'll often see different types of icons here. Generally, this arrow logo icon of the paper airplane, this is a task. This is something you do usually on your own. You may see a clock icon. This signifies that this arrow, this work that you need to do, generally involves someone else, like it's an appointment, right? You have a phone call scheduled, or you have a meeting, something like that. You'll also see an icon that looks like an email. This represents an email message, and this is work you need to do. You may need to reply to someone or just read the email. And then we also have an other type. This is an informational. Maybe you've just made a note and you need to go work on that note. So let's accept this arrow here. I'm going to click on this. This says that we need to reconcile this customer's books. So I'm going to click the icon and go into this arrow. In each of those cases, the icons I was showing you, you click to accept the work. You go into it. The different icons signify that your screen, when you get in here, may look ever so slightly different. It will still have all the resources we're about to talk about, but an email has a different button that lets you send an email back to reply to that, things like that. So here we are, we've accepted a task, and this has a list of steps for us to do. So that's a really important part of an arrow, is that when you get in here to work on this task that's been assigned to you, you have step-by-step instructions. So you may know how to close the books because you've done it 100 times, but it does not hurt to have a reminder of every little step because any of us can forget something, and especially if you're talking about things that differ from one client to the other, right? So as you go about performing these steps, not only is it helpful to have the reminder of the step written for you, but as I check off each of these, this is, first of all, it's copying the step down here into my time notes so that when I complete this, or even if I don't finish, even if I get only halfway through, this is going to be posted with my time so that my manager can see what I worked on. Or let's say I don't finish it today and I get sick and I don't come in tomorrow. Somebody can come step in and they know that I finished the first 3 steps, right? So they can take this and reassign it to another staff person and they can carry on. So the steps are very important, not just to remind you how to do something, but also to remind or to communicate with everyone where you are on it. And then of course, if you have new staff, you're training new staff, or they've just finished training and they're just a little hesitant, of course these step-by-step instructions are critical then. These step-by-step instructions help you get that work done, not just properly, but consistently each time. So in addition to each step telling me what to do, I've got some other resources over here on the right. I'm either going to see the standard operating procedure. I'm going to click on that. That's going to take us to the procedure for how to do this, right? So here I've got print screens. I've got details for how to do this task. So if my steps aren't sufficient enough, for example, if I've just been trained and I'm a little slow at this still, or if I'm stepping in for someone else who was sick and they usually do this work, I can come read the full procedure guide on how to do this work. So that's your standard operating procedure here. You've got a link right to it right here when you're working on this. Then we've also got links to different things, web links. So you may have a web link to go perform the work. This is telling me to confirm that something about the bank and credit card. So if I click on that link, maybe I'm going to have a link here out to the bank to go grab the bank statement. You could put links in here when you're setting up these arrows for your staff. You can put web links in here to go log in maybe to QuickBooks Online or Bill.com or any of the apps that you're going to use to do this work. So you're giving them the link right to it, right? They don't have to have the URL memorized and they don't have to go searching for it. You might be doing a payroll task and at the end of it you have to go out to the financial institution to submit the 401k contribution amount or something like that. You know, these URLs that you don't necessarily have memorized. It may just be particular to one client and you only use it once a month. So those are very helpful to have these web links here. And then you'll also have these help links, where these links that we just looked at take you to the website to go perform the work. The help link may be something in addition to your standard operating procedure. This may be a link to Intuit support or to one of your app's video trainings on how to do this thing. Just in case someone's new at this and needs a little more help on how to do it. So any of those links that you can give to your staff right here puts it at their fingertips and saves some time, right? So I'm going to scroll down here and I want to show you some more resources. So you've got all of these steps that your staff can do. As they click each one off, it's putting notes in the time notes. They can also put some notes here in the comments. Now the comments is an internal section. This may be some feedback that you don't want on your time notes because time notes, remember in QuickBooks, time notes can be pulled onto an invoice. This is about the work you did. So if it has to do with the work you did officially that a customer might see, you would have it there. If it's an internal comment, maybe you're just putting a note about where you left off or something that you want to remember when you come complete this in a couple hours, put some comments here. So this is internal. Now down here at the bottom we have some tabs, and these are additional resources. Not necessarily related to each line-by-line step, but these are additional resources about this company that we're working on. So we've got the company info, right? So maybe I need to grab the customer's address or their phone number or look at what type of software they use. Then I've also got the company arrows. These are all the other arrows or work that you've set up for this client of yours. You can see who else has work assigned. Who are the other people working on this client? Is the work done? All of these grids that you're going to see throughout Aero, you can sort by clicking on the column header. you can furthermore go in and filter and say, maybe you only want to show the status of arrows that is not started. Or maybe you want to look for only the arrows that are assigned to this client that are assigned to one of your colleagues. You can look for them. Or a certain type. Maybe you're just looking for payroll related ones. So you can search for any of that in these grids. And this lets you see, it lets you share the work that's being performed for this client with your other colleagues. You can collaborate, right? You can see what has happened, what's still scheduled, read notes from what others did when they performed their work. Then you also have the company contacts. You may have managers at this client that you need to call. You may need to contact the marketing manager or something like that, or their legal team or their insurance agents. Any contacts that have to do with this client of yours can be listed here. And again, right at your fingertips when you're performing the work. Then we've got the time tab. This shows you all of the time that has been logged on this particular task. So this particular task, Robert had already worked a little bit of time on it, and here are his notes from what he did. And then when we finish here, and we post some time on it, that will show here for anyone looking in the future. And then finally, we've got the vault. Very important. The vault can hold all sorts of information, and it has all sorts of different security levels. So the vault is where you want to store usernames and passwords to anything from bank accounts to all sorts of things where you would log in for this client. Tax ID numbers for this client, what their capitalization threshold is. Maybe you have their bank routing and account number. Any of that kind of information you can store here. If it has a web link, you can put that here and launch it from here. Again, you've got the different security levels so that depending on the type of security level of this person logged in this case Robert, whatever security level Robert is, he either will or will not be able to see one of these rows. If the security level is above his level, he won't be able to see this information. So very important to have that security guard in place. So that should give you a good feel for what I'm talking about when I say giving your staff the resources they need to do this work consistently and very effectively. Now, if you notice, when we jumped in to work on this task, the clock started automatically. Down here, very subtle, it's tracking all of the time associated to the work that I'm doing. So when I'm ready to finish it, I can either save and complete, and this arrow will be off of my list. It's done. I don't have to work on it anymore. Or I can save and defer it so that it's still on my list. It's going to post the time that I worked on it, and all of these time notes here will be posted with that. So I've worked on it 9 minutes, and all of this time, all of these notes will be posted with that time to show what I did during those 9 minutes. I also have the option to edit time. Maybe I need to change something about the time that I did. Maybe I want to shave a minute off or something, whatever that may be. And of course, you can pause and reset the timer as you go, as needed. So in this case, I'm going to save and defer it. I can pick another day. Maybe I'm going to work on it again a week from now, something like that. Maybe I only have 1 hour left to work on it. I can put a reason, waiting on client response, something like that, and then I click defer, and away it goes. Now, this is going to stay on my list. I left it with today's date, so it's still showing. If I had deferred it for the future, it would be off of my list until that day, and then when I logged in that day, it will be showing on my list. If I had completed it, of course, it's done and off my list. I hope that's giving everyone a good overview of how your staff can organize their day and have all the resources they need to complete their work. So I want to run through some of the other screens available from this work menu. Here we were on the My Aero screen, and now I'm going to jump to projects. And I just want to briefly explain what a project is in Aero. This is not where you go to perform your work, but this is a tool for organizing arrows as a group. You may have set up you can set up project types. You can do all those settings. You're the admin of Aero can do that. You may group together recurring types of services, one-time projects. It doesn't matter. Just the thing to remember is that a project in Aero is a group of arrows. So I'm going to drill into one here, and you can set up some header information about this project. And then the thing to know is that you can group specific arrows into it. And from here, you can watch and go check on the status of an arrow, or see these may be assigned to all different people. If this is like a one-time project that you're each working on, from here, when you're looking at the arrows, I can view any one of these. And just to show you, this is the inside edit view of an arrow when you're not working on it and performing that work, where the timer's going. This is the inside edit view of what an arrow looks like. And you can see here that one of the fields is this project field. So any arrow that you link to a project, that's how you group it together, and it will show up here. So any arrows that you link to this project was called Monthly Payroll for Company Adams and Adams. And so any arrows linked to this project are going to show here when you come look at this project. So you may have staff that are in charge of, that are like managers that are overseeing a particular project. And that's how they can sort of have some overview of that. The next place we're going to go is my timesheet. So again, this is for the person logged in. That was the projects assigned to the person logged in. This is the timesheet for the person logged in. We have other webinars that are going to talk about the manage screens and how you can see all arrows and all time for everybody in the firm, but today we're talking about empowering your staff. So we're talking about this person logged in. So they may want to go check out their timesheet. They may need to update some notes, and so they can either work on the time entry. And again, this QuickBooks Online, this syncs with QuickBooks Online. So the time entry, they may want to change something about the notes, something like that, or they may want to actually go work on the arrow. Maybe they completed this arrow and they want to come back and put it on their list. Maybe they didn't mean to hit complete, something like that. Again, you can either click time here, and I'll show you that. When I click time, I'm in the edit time screen now. I can do something that I need to edit. Maybe I'm adding notes, or I can edit the arrow associated to it. Right? Maybe I click defer and I really meant to click completed. So that's the timesheet. Now again, you're seeing a grid here in Aero. When you see these grids with this blue header and these column headers here, know that you can click on any of the columns to sort by that data in that column, or you can click the green arrow and use any of these tools here, including to filter by, right? I might want to look for anything on my timesheet that contains the word payroll, for example. In addition to this, I'll show you another little tip you can do with these grids. You can pull a header up and out into the blue section, and it's going to group. Any of these grids in Aero do this. I might want to group all those. Remember, I filtered by any task with the word payroll in it, and now I'm also grouping by companies, right? So that's a nice feature. Now finally, I'm going to my schedule, and this is basically the calendar view of the work that's been assigned to you, the person logged in. The default view is this agenda view. We can see today is highlighted gray. You may want to look at it by month, by week, or work week, take the weekends off, or by day. So I'll jump back to month just to show you that you will see two different color fonts on your schedule. Black means that the task has been completed. Blue font means that the task is still open. It's either not started or been deferred or something, but it's not completed yet. So whatever way you want to look at it, this is not, again, this is not where you come to perform your work. You want to go up to your My Arrows list to click and accept the task. But this helps you see how your work is looking from the viewpoint of scheduling it, your availability, right? And keep in mind that we're looking at my schedule for the person logged in. Managers also have the ability to jump into the schedule for any of their staff. So you can imagine if you needed to go look at, hey, how's Carrie's schedule looking? Does she have any availability? You can see in blocks of time, hey, she's pretty open on Tuesdays. We can give her this new payroll task for this new client, for example. So one cool thing you can do from the schedule is that you can grab these. If they have blue font, meaning they are not completed, you can grab one of these and you can move it to a different day, a different time. The black ones, the black font that are completed, if they move, they will jump right back. Those cannot be changed anymore because they have been completed. But any of these that are not completed, you can drag and move them around. So you may want to come work on your schedule and say, you know what, I need to do this and this tomorrow so they don't overlap, and I'm going to do this right here. Now I've got a good work day planned, and then you're done. And then you jump back to your My Arrows list and go about completing those tasks that are assigned to you. Okay, that about rounds up our webinar for today. I hope that you learned a lot about empowering your staff using Aero Workflow app.